Okay, folks, good evening. Um, so this is not anything about paranormal or anything odd, so to speak. But I know the discussions and so forth about Roswell, New Mexico, in of itself falls into that category, arguably. So I thought I would talk about something on that real quick. So I want to share our experience with it with others that have not gone. And so if this sways your opinion or not of making the trip, here's what we found out. So first of all, um, getting to Roswell it's not off of any direct route. Um, so it does take an effort to get there. Um, and so basically, it's uh, due south, almost southeast of Albuquerque. So if you're going through, and I forget if it's 20 or 40, forgive me, from Vegas through Albuquerque, uh, making your way to Arizona, um, in that whole path. Again, I've been on it like 4 times, maybe six, I forget. So I forget if it's 20 or 40. But anyway, it's below that, okay? And there's not much there below that. And unless you're there for some specific reasons in that area, there are definitely some, let's say, tourist things to see. There is the volcano areas that are really neat to see, and there's some sort of state or national park out there that seems pretty nice. I didn't really get to see that part because I went through it at night. Um, the volcano areas are really cool, and there's a campsite there. And I look forward one day to being able to get over there and spend a full 2 weeks there. Um, that was one of the eeriest things I've ever experienced in terms of the silence. I've never experienced something that was just deafening. It was so quiet. I would love to see what a week or two camping there, what that would be like. If I'll go look it up and recall the names of that place, and I'll try to submit some pictures and stuff at another time. But anyway, um, we decided we wanted to go see Roswell. Um, Kind of like the Grand Canyon and other things. It's like, you want to check that off your bucket list, and you don't always get the opportunity to do it. We had the opportunity, so we wanted to take advantage of it. So what was that experience like for us? Okay. So ultimately, it was a big letdown, to be honest with you. Um, I admittedly had no clue what to expect. No clue. Um, this may sound odd to you. I don't know. But my perception was almost like I expected it to be like Disneyland kind of thing, um, where I expected a whole lot of traffic coming in and out. I expected a lot of road signs and or some community or uh, public awareness signs indicating, okay, you're here, you arrived in Roswell, take a right here, take a left here. Welcome, you know, all fans across the planet. Come on in and check out this location and this thing and this thing and this thing. Um, but to my total surprise, I didn't see any of that. The only directions that I barely could get were almost nothing from the road signs. It was instead only from my Google GPS thing. and I didn't see any traffic, nothing, no big event, no traffic coming in, no traffic coming out. And at one point, we weren't even convinced we were in Roswell. Um, so I felt like maybe I'd see a lot of activity on the streets. Okay. Um, Mind you, I had no clue what to expect. All right. Um, I didn't get to do any homework on the city and town and so forth prior to that. I could have, um, and I say that because there's another story. It has nothing to do with the paranormal thing. But when I went down to Mexico, living there as an exchange student, that was like going to Mars, and that's a wild story. But at the time, I did not have the internet available. We didn't even have cell phones back then, and I didn't have enough time to go all the way to the library to try to look up some things, and that as well definitely affected my expectations and concerns on certain things, and but it also had lack of information. So in this case, I did have that available. I didn't take advantage of it because mainly because I was driving through there. Um, but my expectations, as naive or miscued that was, I just expected like I say, a whole lot of signage, a whole lot of marketing things to say, hey, welcome to Roswell. A lot of traffic, either on foot or in vehicles or campers or something, for showing me people coming all over the country and or all over the world to see this. And I expected exhibits and whatever. So what I found was a very small town. Um, I'm guessing 5,000 to 10,000 people, maybe. Um, and like I say, I didn't see any of the vehicle stuff. And when I got in town and we confirmed that we were actually in Roswell, then I didn't see hardly any foot traffic, anything extra or crazy going on in town. Like no special events. It seemed like any average small town America is what it looked like. As far as the level of activity and type of activity, that's it. So finally, I drove up on like a community center, and it was a tourist community center, and I went in there, and the young man there was very honest and direct and professional and polite. And he explained to me, he summarized it in a heartbeat. And he said, look, um, the actual crash landing. So if any of you do not know this, I did not. The actual crash landing is 70 to 80 miles back west of where I just came from. And so even if you have the notion of trying to go there, he says the property had gone back and forth between public and having private ownership. Is now currently privately owned, and then it's all fenced off, and there's almost no way under normal circumstances that we would have been able to get there and have access to it. And even if we made it through all that, he says when you get there, there's nothing to see. Everything's been removed. Uh, Originally back in the 40s, everything was removed. So all you would literally see is dirt. Okay, there's nothing to see. So he explained to me And again, many of you may know this. I didn't know this or relate to it in terms of this. He said that the reason the town Roswell became so popular and associated with the actual crash landing site is because Roswell back in the 40s, for some reason, um, was a military installation, an army base, and was the uh, closest military personnel in order that was able to reach the actual crash site landing in the best amount of time. And so that's why uh, military at the Roswell military installation in Roswell was instructed to go drive that 70, 80 miles west to handle all that. And they brought it all the way back to the Roswell city at the military base in Roswell. So, so in summary, there is nothing to see. So in about half a minute or a minute, he explained to me that the last day or two traveling in order to get to Roswell and see something there was a total and utter complete waste of our time. So, we're out in the middle of nowhere, so what do you do? Well, it turns out because of their history over the last 80 years, they went ahead. As you can imagine, there's several places in there, several retail locations that have adapted to this and created tourist things. And one of them I will mention, and sorry I didn't do my homework before this video, but this one person did create this museum. I think there's a couple others, if I'm not mistaken, that we either didn't go to or couldn't go to. But we were able to, and we chose to go to this one. And I'll try to put some pictures up later. And that was it. Very interesting, to be honest with you. On the one hand, it was like the cheesiest, cheapest thing that you would see someone throwing together for Halloween. So imagine these Halloween events where you go through, you enter and walk down these trails and hallways with these exhibits that may or may not jump out at you. And that it was kind of like that. To be honest with you, it was weird. And at first I was upset. I was kind of like, well, that was a total waste of time and money. But over time, really, at least me and well, at least we did. We kind of got a good laugh out of it, and we started to appreciate it more. That all in good humor, they did a really good job with the props. It wasn't Hollywood quality, but it was good enough for you to just get a little entertainment, take a lot of pictures, and enjoy a little time. And it didn't cost that much. There was another example. I don't know if you can relate to this, but there's a famous golf instructor. He was Tiger Woods and a couple other instructors at a time. Hank Haney. He has two things in Dallas. I lived there for a couple times. And so I got to go to Hank Haney's golf course. That's a 9-hole golf course. He bought this intelligently It's very he bought the land cheap. It's right off 35 north, um, north of Dallas, 35 east, the east side going north, and cross section with another interstate section. Basically, the land was almost like a swamp. It was, and there's some power lines going through. It's just a cheap thing. And when I got through with the course the first time, again, I was a little disappointed in a lot of ways. But then later on, I got to thinking, wait a minute, um, it was actually genius. And he had me pull out and use, I think, every single club in my bag. And that's very, very, very rare. Um, and So the same kind of applied here. Again, at first we thought, well, that was crap, but then when you continue to look at it, it was for the money we spent and all. It was all in good humor, and we got a good laugh and some good memories, and I still got a lot of pictures. So um, so there's several retail shops, as you can imagine, where you can buy your T-shirts and a million other things. Um, in fact, the little Bob that I use for these videos, we, if I remember right, we purchased him there. Um, so there are some retail things and a couple of museums that you can go see just to say you went there. Um, so at the end of it, um, my review is is mixed feelings. On the one hand, I'm glad I went. I checked it off our list, and we had fun. Um, but and I got stickers, I have magnets, etc. So we're definitely glad we went. Like I said, we had fun. We checked it off our list. Um, but if you don't go, you're not really missing anything. So I don't know what to tell you. If you feel like taking that huge detour, um, then go for it. I will tell you this, like I said earlier, I will emphasize that you do have a lot of things to see prior to and after, or east and west on that highway to Roswell, that are fascinating to see, at least in our opinion. There's the fossilization fields. That thing is massive. Um, I mean, it takes you like 30 minutes to drive through at 60 miles an hour. Um, and then the volcanic fields. Um, and again, that park that I got to see on the Google map that is huge. And I can only imagine driving through it. It was probably beautiful. Um, but we didn't get to see it because, like I said, we were driving through at night. I did get to see that apparently there's a lot of elk there. And so, again, that's my review. If you've been there or you'd like to go and you had some questions on it, please feel free to comment below or email us. Um, Bob's Paranormal at gmail.com. BOBS Paranormal at gmail.com. And please, we're trying to grow our channel like anybody else so we can expand on what we can share with you. Um, please like and subscribe. Now, having said that, I'm in Louisiana. I'm, we're right in the middle of all sorts of plantations and old places in New Orleans, et cetera, of hauntings. Um, so there's a lot of places that we want to visit, and your contributions and this channel being monetized whenever that happens, hopefully, can obviously afford us better opportunities to bring better things to you. We're not too far from NASA. I'll tell you about that interesting trip later with the head attorney from NASA. That was a fascinating conversation. Um, let's see here. We have again the Myrtles plantation that I mentioned earlier. We were talking a little while ago. I think what we're going to do, I think Debbie and I are going to go up to St. Francisville when we have a moment during the week, go to the courthouse, um, and any other uh, archival places that we can find. We're going to try to find out if there was native habitation where the Myrtles plantation is prior to that place being built, and see if we can track down like a native burial, some kind of native burial there. Uh, that would help explain my experience there. I don't know, but it'd be fun. I think it'd make a good video for anyone, especially folks across country that are interested in the southern things. If we were to film our trip in St. Francisville, it would be a very welcomed video. It's very pretty. It's beautiful. Again, it has a lot of the hills, small town. It's probably uh, downtown. Probably less than 1,000 people living there, and the surrounding areas you probably have about 3 to 5,000 maybe. Population growth has uh, gone crazy over the last 10, 20 years, so I don't really know. I have to look that up. But in the town area, there's not much, 600 to 1,000 people maybe. And we can highlight some of the shops there and the uh, craft craft folks there. So I'll keep you posted. But again, as far as Roswell, I'm going to leave that up to you. It's not like the Grand Canyon on the other side, where obviously I would recommend you to do that hands down. That's my Roswell story. We had a good time there, and I have the sticker and other things to show for it. I hope you decide whether you want to go or not, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good evening.